If you're a doctor planning to come to Germany, one of the most important decisions you will make happens before you even submit your documents. Which Bundesland should you apply to? Bayern or Bavaria, Berlin, Baden-Württemberg, North Rhine-Westphalia, or should you choose a smaller state because somebody told you that it's faster? There is a lot of advice online saying this. This state is easy, this state is fast, about this state. In 2026, I would not choose my Bundesland like that. The Approbation itself allows you to work throughout Germany, but the recognition process is handled by the competent authority of the Bundesland where you apply. And that's why your choice matters. I don't think the right question is which state is easiest. The better question is where is my personal bottleneck? And this becomes even more interesting in 2026 because Germany is changing the recognition pathway for doctors from third countries. From November 2026, the direct Kenntnisprüfung is intended to become the standard route. That means the state you choose and especially how quickly you can actually reach the relevant examinations may become even more important. So let's start with Bavaria, that is Bayern. Bayern already has a good digital infrastructure for the recognition process, and the procedure is centralized to ZABY, ZAABY. But here's the important point: digital doesn't automatically means fast. Bavaria itself currently warns that that it's receiving a very high number of applications and inquiries. So I would describe Bavaria as a strong medical market with good infrastructure, but I would not choose Bavaria simply because somebody told me that bureaucracy is far. Now let's look at Baden-Württemberg. Here again, there is centralized recognition process, but the authority itself currently warns applicants that because of the large number of applications, longer processing times have to be expected. And this teaches us something very important. The processing time written on the website is not necessarily your actual personal time. Berlin is interesting because its official portal gives comparatively concrete information about processing times. For a complete third country application, Berlin currently publishes an average administrative processing time of approximately 3 to 4 months. But don't misunderstand that. That doesn't mean that you arrive in Berlin and receive your approbation 4 months later. FSP, Kenntnisprüfung, missing documents, and your individual case can make the complete journey much, much longer. Now, I want to show you something that completely changes the idea that smaller Bundesland means faster. Look at Sachsen or Sachsen of Deutsch in German. According to current information from Sächsische Landesarchitektur, the waiting time for Fachsprachprüfung is approximately 2 months. That sounds excellent. But the same official information gives a waiting time for Kenntnisprüfung of approximately 1.5 years. Think about that. You could have relatively fast FSP and still have a very long road to the Kenntnisprüfung. Fast FSP does not automatically mean fast approbation. This is why I would never choose a Bundesland based on one waiting time number. That's very important. Your recognition process has several different clocks running simultaneously. The authority has one clock. The FSP has got another clock. The Kenntnisprüfung can have another. And your real timeline is determined by whichever bottleneck matters in your case, in your personal case, right? So, if I were coming to Germany again as an international doctor in 2026, this is what I would do. If I already knew that I would need the Kenntnisprüfung, KP availability, the KP availability would be one of the first things I would investigate. If my priority were to start working clinically as soon as possible, I would investigate the Berufserlaubnis pathway and potential employers. If I were to if I was still sitting in India or another country, I would also look very carefully at whether the applications process can be handled digitally. And only after that, I would listen to somebody on WhatsApp or Telegram telling me that one Bundesland is. There is another factor that international doctors often underestimate. You actually have to live here. A Bundesland that saves you some administrative time may not necessarily be the best choice if your housing costs are much higher, for example, in Munich, or your job opportunities are worse. So I would balance three things: recognition pathway, job opportunities, and cost of living. So now comes the very obvious question: which Bundesland is number one? I'm deliberately not going to give you a fake top five. There isn't enough standardized, reliable public data to say that one Bundesland is objectively the fastest for every international doctor. That's correct. Bayern has strong infrastructure, or Bavaria, but also high application volumes. Baden-Württemberg currently warns about longer processing times. Berlin publishes comparatively transparent administrative estimates, and Saxony shows us perfectly why a fast FSP doesn't necessarily mean a fast overall pathway. So the best Bundesland depends on where your personal bottleneck is. But whichever Bundesland you choose, there's already one bottleneck you can already start working on yourself. Your medical German. You need to take an anamnesis, react naturally when the patient gives you an unexpected answer, present the case to another doctor, and document it correctly. That's one of the reasons I built Medicortex FSP Guide. And I want to make a second part of this comparison. So tell me in the comments, which Bundesland are you applying to, or which one are you considering? I'll take the states that appear most often and compare their recognition process. FSP, Kenntnisprüfung, and Berufserlaubnis using the current official information. So see you in the next video.